constantly burning the midnight oil and swapping sleep for spreadsheets? Or perhaps you've cracked the code to perfectly balance your career and personal life? The reality is, your work-life balance can heavily depend on where you live. Some countries are infamous for relentless work hours and high-pressure cultures, while others champion employee well-being with flexible schedules, generous leave policies, and a culture that values personal time. Stay tuned as we dive into how 10 nations stack up when it comes to work-life balance. Using insights from the OECD Better Life Index, which scores countries from 0 to 1 on their ability to balance work and personal life, we'll uncover which nations struggle the most and what factors contribute to their rankings. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with more fascinating insights like this. Let's get started. 10. USA. Work-life balance score, 5.2. Workers in America face significantly fewer protections compared to their peers in Europe and other advanced economies. Federal law doesn't mandate paid sick leave, maternity or paternity leave, or even paid vacation. While many companies do offer paid annual leave, the average is a mere 10 days. Combine this with the nation's deeply ingrained workaholic culture, and it's surprising that the US doesn't score even lower on the OECD Work-Life Balance Index. 9. New Zealand. Work-life balance score, 4.9. Much like its neighbor Australia, New Zealand mandates employers to provide at least 20 paid vacation days annually. While work-life balance in New Zealand is generally considered better, a slightly higher percentage of its workforce puts in very long hours, 14% compared to Australia's 13%. Interestingly, New Zealand holds the top spot globally for work-life balance, according to a study by global employment firm Remote. Analyzing the top 60 countries by GDP, the study awarded New Zealand an impressive score of 80.76 out of 100. This ranking is largely attributed to its generous annual leave policy, which totals 32 days, combining paid vacation and public holidays. 8. Chile. Work-life balance score, 4.8. Chile has a relatively lower percentage of workers enduring exhausting long hours, with only 8% of employees clocking more than 50 hours a week, better than the OECD average. However, the workday is far from brief, and the average time spent on leisure and personal care falls below the OECD standard. Vacation policies also leave room for improvement. Employees are entitled to just 15 days of annual leave after completing a year of service, with additional days granted incrementally over time. While better than nothing, it's still modest compared to more generous international standards. 7. Australia. Work-life balance score, 4.4. Australians enjoy a solid baseline for paid annual leave, with 20 days as the minimum legal entitlement. However, 13% of Australian workers endure very long hours, exceeding the OECD average of 10%, and the typical amount of daily free time falls short of OECD standards. In an interview with ABC News, Eliza Littleton, a senior economist at the Australia Institute's Centre for Future Work, highlighted that Australians work more paid overtime than their counterparts in the US, UK, and Canada. On top of that, they also clock in significantly more hours of unpaid overtime each week, further straining their work-life balance. 6. South Korea. Work-life balance score, 3.8. Maintaining a healthy work-life balance in South Korea is notoriously challenging. Overtime is widespread, after-work dinners and drinks are often considered mandatory, and many employees feel pressured to remain at the office until their boss leaves, as reported by NBC News. Younger generations, however, are increasingly pushing back against this demanding work culture. Despite this, the government appeared to be heading in the opposite direction. Last year, it proposed increasing the maximum workweek from 52 to 69 hours. The plan was ultimately scrapped following a strong backlash from Gen Z, millennials, and labor unions, according to The Guardian. 5. South Africa. Work-life balance score, 3.6. In South Africa, a significantly larger portion of the population works over 50 hours per week compared to the OECD average of 10%. Additionally, the country's workforce enjoys less free time than many of its global peers. With an hourly minimum wage of just $1.56, £1.20, South Africa ranks as the second unhappiest nation in our roundup, according to the World Happiness Report. However, there's hope for change. The country recently conducted a major trial of a 4-day workweek, signaling a potential shift toward shorter working hours and improved well-being in the Rainbow Nation. 4. Japan. Work-life balance score, 3.4. In Japan, long hours and minimal time off are the norm, with a strong emphasis on presenteeism and unwavering dedication to the company. Unpaid overtime is often expected, and according to a study by Tokyo-based HR firm Staff Service, only 20% of employees take their full paid annual leave. The relentless work culture can have serious health repercussions, with karoshi, or death by overwork, recognized as a major issue. While there are efforts underway to address this work addiction, including proposals for a 4-day workweek, as CNBC points out, changing Japan's deeply entrenched work culture will be a difficult challenge. 3. Türkiye. Work-life balance score, 2.5. Although Türkiye's official maximum working week is set at 45 hours for most employees, a quarter of the workforce works more than 50 hours per week, the second highest proportion in the OECD after Mexico. The OECD average is just 10%. Turkish workers benefit from 14 public holidays each year, and there are reports that the government is considering reducing the standard workweek to between 35 and 40 hours. However, despite these efforts, Türkiye remains the least satisfied country in our roundup, according to the latest World Happiness Report. The country's demanding work culture likely plays a significant role in this discontent. 2. Colombia. Work-life balance score, 0.6. Colombia's work-life balance score stands at just 0.6, making it one of the poorest performers in the OECD when it comes to the proportion of workers putting in extremely long hours. Colombians also have the least amount of free time, with only 13.3 hours of their day allocated to leisure and personal care. On a positive note, Colombia boasts 10 more paid public holidays than Mexico, the highest number in our roundup. For context, Nepal holds the global record with 39 public holidays. Additionally, the country is transitioning from its traditional 48-hour workweek over 5 or 6 days to a legal maximum of 42 hours, with the change set to take effect by 2026. 1. Mexico. Work-life balance score, 0.4. In Mexico, official statistics reveal that 27% of employees work more than 50 hours per week, the highest proportion in the OECD, while 40% work a 6-day week. Moreover, the average time spent on leisure and personal care is among the lowest in the OECD, with just 13.5 hours a day. This includes eating and sleeping, well below the OECD average of 15 hours. The World Economic Forum highlights that Mexico's 48-hour maximum workweek is rarely enforced, primarily due to long-standing fears of unemployment and weak labor laws. To add to the burden, Mexican workers take the fewest vacation days in Latin America and have just 8 public holidays per year, tying for the lowest number globally. And there you have it, an eye-opening look at work-life balance across some of the world's toughest work cultures. While some countries are taking steps to improve employee well-being, others still have a long way to go. What do you think? Are there any surprises on this list, or do you think more nations need to prioritize work-life balance? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on global work trends. Until next time, take care of yourselves, both at work and outside of it.